Hi friends, it's Ashley and welcome back to the channel. So as you saw from the thumbnail and the title, today's video is going to be a book haul, and specifically it's going to be a birthday book haul because my birthday was a couple weeks ago, and every year on my birthday my husband takes me to Barnes & Noble and I pick out some books. And this year I ended up picking out 7 books, so I'm going to be sharing those with you in today's video. So the first book I got was Warrior Princess Assassin by Brigid Kemmerer, and this is an adult fantasy romance. And this is the one that I'm probably the most excited about from this haul. And this is this author's adult debut, but she also writes YA fantasy. So she's written the Cursebreaker series, which I've really enjoyed, and then Forging Silver into Stars, which is a spin-off from the Cursebreaker series, which I loved this one, and also Defy the Night, which I also loved this one. So I am really excited to read this one, and I think I'm going to absolutely love it. And so this one follows 3 characters. A character who's a warrior, a character who's a princess, and a character who is assassin. And the warrior is a king, and the princess in this book ends up entering into arranged marriage with him that will benefit both of their countries. But then the assassin is her childhood friend, and he ends up receiving orders, separate orders, for the assassination of the princess and the warrior king. But he loves our princess, and so of course he isn't going to kill her, and she will not let him kill the warrior king because that will put her people and land and the alliance between the 2 kingdoms in jeopardy. And so our story goes from there. And then the next book I got is Violet Thistlethwaite is Not a Villain Anymore by Emily Krumholtz. And this one is also an adult fantasy romance, but it's more on the cozy fantasy side. So this one's about our main character, Violet, who works for this dark sorcerer, but at the beginning of the story, the dark sorcerer ends up dying. And so she decides that she's gonna get a new start and move to this small town where she's gonna open up a flower shop and hopefully live out her days peacefully. But also in this town, there's a handsome but prickly alchemist named Nathaniel who is going to be sharing the greenhouse that she's going to be using. It looks like he's going to be our love interest. It looks like the 2 of them are going to have to end up working together in order to save their town from a deadly blight that's threatening to kill all the plants. And so this one just sounds like it's going to be cozy and really cute, and I also just really love the cover of this one. The third book I picked up was Demon in the Light by Axie O. So this is a sequel to The Floating World and the conclusion to the duology. I read this book earlier this year and absolutely loved it, and so I'm really excited to see how things turn out in this one. And so this one is dual perspectives. It follows Ren and Sunho. And Ren is part of a travel and acrobat family, though she wasn't born into the family, she was adopted by them. And one day her uncle ends up being poisoned by this demon, and so she ends up setting out on a journey to find a cure for him. And she also has these powers that up to this point she's tried to keep a secret. But when her uncle is attacked by the demon, she ends up using them and emitting a silver light. And Sunho is a mercenary who has missing memory, who doesn't remember anything from before 2 years ago. And he ends up being hired to track down the girl who wields silver light, who is Ren. And the 2 of them end up meeting when Ren ends up saving Sunho's life, and so they begin traveling together. But little does he know that she is the girl that he's looking for. And so I just absolutely adored this one. I loved the Final Fantasy VII vibes that this had, and also that was just like a very warm-hearted fantasy. And so I'm really excited to read this one. Book number 4 that I got is Star Chaser by R.M. Gray. So this is a YA fantasy, and it's a sequel to Nightweaver, and it's the conclusion to this duology. And so I read this one earlier this year, also loved this one. And so this series follows our main character Aster, who her family are pirates, but in her world there are these beings with magical power called Nightweavers, and so they kind of took over the land and regular humans fled to the sea. And at the beginning of the story, her family's pirate ship is attacked by a ship of Nightweavers. During the ensuing battle, her oldest brother ends up dying and the rest of her family is taken prisoner. And so her family is taken off to the market to be sold off, but they end up being rescued and taken in by a powerful Nightweaver family. And Aster ends up forming a relationship with their oldest son, and he ends up promising to help her get revenge for her brother's death. And this book ended on a bit of a cliffhanger, so I'm really excited to see what happens in this one. And there is also a love triangle in here where I need to know what happens with that as well. Also, I just love how both the books have Aster's family tree on the inside cover. And also, this naked hardback is gorgeous. Book number 5 that I got is Break the Sea by Sarah Holland, and this is another YA fantasy. I think this one is a standalone, but don't quote me on that. And this one has magical whales and sea fae. In this one, our main character inherits her parents' whaling company after they pass away, and she's determined to keep their business going. But she's also hiding a secret, and that is that she is dealing with a curse, and that curse is slowly turning her into a monster. And the only person she has to turn to for comfort is her fiancé, August. But then she finds out that he has been plotting to take over the whaling company for himself. And so our main character becomes desperate and ends up making a deal with a captain who is rumored to be half sea fae. And he says that he knows how to break her curse, and he'll tell her how, but only if she promises to stop the practice of whaling forever. And so the premise of this one just sounds super fascinating and intriguing, and also just sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. The 6th book that I got was The Weaver by Lydia Gregovich. First off, the cover of this is just gorgeous. And so are the edges. And also the end papers as well are gorgeous. And the premise of this one also sounds very intriguing because our main character is what is called a silk witch. And that means that she holds a rare magic, but the magic can only be harnessed through marrying a weaver. But the thing about that is that finding a weaver husband requires status, refinement, and money, all of which our main character does not have. But what she does have is a secret ability, and that is the ability to open any door. And so she uses that gift to steal from the wealthy men that court her. But one day she ends up stealing from the wrong man, Elliot, who is the son of a prominent weaver. But it turns out that he's been watching her and he knows that she is a weaver. And so he offers her a deal. And he offers her a chance to enter the Vainglory, which is a competition with the ultimate prize being marriage to Noe Alair, who is heir to generations of weaver wealth. In exchange, he wants her to figure out who murdered his sister, because his sister took place in this competition last year and she won, but she was killed. And so our story goes from there. So now for the 7th and final book that I got. So before I went to the bookstore, I made a list of books I was interested in getting, and all the books that I've showed you so far were on that list, but the last one was not. This one I had heard about, but it wasn't on my list, and that is The Raven Scholar by Antonia Hodgson. And this is one that I'm very intrigued by because I've been seeing it like all over the book community lately. And I also know it was on Goodreads fantasy nominees list for the year. And so when I was in Barnes & Noble, I picked this up and I started reading it, and I was like instantly pulled in, and it seems like so readable. And I was like, oh no, should I get this? It's kind of a beast. It's really long, but I ended up deciding to get it because it was my birthday and I was like, why not? And so this is an adult fantasy book, and I'm just going to read a little bit of description on the flap to give you an idea about what it's about. So it reads, "Let us fly now to the Empire of Orun, where after 24 years of peace, the reign of Burson the Brusque has come to an end. In the dizzying heat of midsummer, 7 exceptional warriors, thinkers, and strategists complete to replace him. When one of them is murdered, it falls to Nima Kra, the Emperor's brilliant, idiosyncratic high scholar, to find the killer and fight for the throne. Nima believes she is alone, but we are here to help. All she has to do is let us in. If she succeeds, we will win an empire. If she fails, death awaits her, but we won't let that happen. We are the Raven, and we are magnificent." So this one is very intriguing, although I am slightly intimidated by how long this is. It's over 600 pages. Yeah, it's 648 pages. So yeah, those are the 7 books I picked up this year on my birthday. If you read any of these, let me know down below what you thought of them. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye!